Have you ever wondered what goes on in the lives of the people who quietly work in the background of our own? For billionaire Alexander Sterling, this question became an obsession, one that would change his life forever. Alexander lived a life of unimaginable luxury in a sprawling mansion that felt more like a museum than a home. His days were a whirlwind of meetings, deals, and high-stakes decisions. The only constant, quiet presence in his life was Maria, his maid. She was in her late 50s, with kind eyes that held a hint of a deep, unspoken sadness. She worked with a quiet dignity, never complaining, always leaving everything pristine. But lately, Alexander had noticed something different. Dark circles under her eyes, a slight tremble in her hands as she dusted his priceless artifacts. He often heard her on the phone, her voice hushed and strained, speaking in Spanish. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. It was the sound of desperation. One evening, Alexander was working late in his home office when he saw Maria slip out the back door. It was well past her usual time. Curiosity, mixed with a strange sense of concern he couldn't explain, got the better of him. He decided to do something he'd never done before. He decided to follow her. He kept a safe distance, his luxury car feeling absurdly out of place as he trailed her modest, aging sedan through the glittering city streets and into a neighborhood he barely recognized. The manicured lawns and towering skyscrapers gave way to run-down apartment buildings and dimly lit streets. Maria parked in front of a tired-looking three-story building. Alexander watched from his car as she got out, carrying a large, heavy-looking bag. He expected her to go into one of the apartments. Instead, she walked around to the back, to a dimly lit communal kitchen in the basement. Alexander got out of his car, his heart pounding with a mixture of guilt and intrigue. He crept closer, peering through a grimy window. What he saw inside took his breath away. The large bag she was carrying wasn't filled with her own belongings, it was filled with groceries. Inside the cramped, steamy kitchen, a small crowd of weary-looking men and women had gathered. They were migrant workers, their faces edged with the lines of hard labor and uncertainty. Maria, his quiet, unassuming maid, was moving among them with a gentle authority, unpacking bread, vegetables, and rice. She was organizing a meal, her own exhaustion forgotten as she worked to feed dozens of hungry people. Alexander realized with a jolt that the hushed, desperate phone calls he'd overheard weren't about her own troubles. She was coordinating, organizing, and fundraising, using her meager salary to create a makeshift soup kitchen for those who had even less than she did. As he watched, a young girl with big, frightened eyes ran to Maria and hugged her leg, crying. Maria knelt, wiped the girl's tears, and spoke to her in a soft, soothing voice. She then handed the child a small piece of chocolate she had tucked away in her pocket. The girl's tears turned into a small, grateful smile. In that simple, profound act of kindness, Alexander saw a richness that all his billions couldn't buy. He saw true wealth. He saw humanity in its purest form. He felt a profound sense of shame for his own ignorance, for living in a bubble of luxury while people like Maria were performing quiet miracles just a few miles away. Overwhelmed, Alexander returned to his car, his mind racing. The next morning, he called his lawyers and accountants. He didn't want to just give Maria money. That felt too easy, too impersonal. He wanted to honor her work, to amplify her compassion. He set up a foundation in her name, the Maria Foundation, dedicated to supporting migrant workers and underprivileged communities. He funded it with millions of dollars, ensuring that her small basement kitchen could become a proper community center, with nutritious food, legal aid, and educational programs. He knew this was the best investment he would ever make. When Alexander revealed his plan to Maria, she was speechless. Tears streamed down her face, but this time they were not tears of sadness or desperation. They were tears of overwhelming joy and disbelief. But why? She stammered. Alexander looked at her, his own eyes misty. Because you show me what it means to be truly rich, Maria, he said softly. You have a wealth of heart that I can only hope to learn from. Maria's small act of kindness had created a ripple effect, transforming not just the lives of the people she helped, but the heart of a billionaire who thought he had everything. It's a powerful reminder that the greatest changes often start with the smallest, most selfless acts of love. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. We'll see you in the next video.